If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite. Hi, welcome to yWrite. My name is Angela Grout. Thank you for joining in to an episode to learn why writers are writing. And this show is not only about learning why writers write so that you can write your story, but also to find out what stories you should be reading. So I hope that you are subscribing to our show on YouTube and that you are supporting all of the local authors that I have on this program. And today I do have a very local author because I am here in Agawam, Massachusetts, and I have Marty Balboni here. And he not only has written a book called The Opera on King Street, which is a nonfiction autobiography, and we're going to talk to him about that, but he contributes as a writer for theater reviews. He writes articles on historical moments of the past for local newspapers. And, you know, he's a prolific writer. We get to read him in our local paper every week. Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the social dynamics of growing up in this town that we're in, Agawam, and what that has to do with the opera in King Street, which is the book he wrote. And he also is got a really good secret. And as an Italian, I'm hoping I can get it out of him. But he knows the secret of making good Italian star bread.
No, I don't mess with family.
All right.
No way.
Welcome to Marty Balboni. Yes, his family owns a bakery.
That's right.
A very nice Italian bakery here in Agawam, and they have really good star bread. So you're not going to tell us that recipe, huh?
No, I'll put in a plug. It's down in North Agawam, right where the center of the book is.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yes.
And it's still open and since 1912.
Yeah, I know, amazing. And you can, when you drive in North Agawam, you can smell it too. So, all right, we're not going to get the secret on the star bread, but we will put in the location so everybody can go get it. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, you and I met many years ago. I mean, not only through when I think I had my flower shop and all that, but we took writing classes together at the Springfield Museum.
Right, with Danny Eaton.
Yes, we were writing plays with him.
Yeah.
That was a very fun and interesting time for sure.
Yes, it was.
And you had already published your book, The Opera on King Street?
Yes, I did.
So this has been out for a while. I know it's very popular in the Agawam area for sure. I heard at some libraries the books are getting tattered.
Yeah, Agawam. That's the one. I had to leave a couple other copies because demand.
Well, I mean, this is an autobiography, and you're writing about North Agawam. And, you know, for people who don't know the Agawam area, back in, the 60s, 70s, very heavy mafia also. Very heavy Italians.
Well, that would be earlier than the 60s, maybe 50s and 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, the Opera on King Street, you know, it could be a play for sure. For sure could be a play. For sure could be a movie. But it's a book. And why did you write that? Why did you decide to do an autobiography in this form?
Well, you know, I use a lot of personal, all my teaching career, I used a lot of personal things, experiences I had to illustrate certain points. For instance, we were studying about the industrial strikes in the 1890s, early 1900s, and I told my students about the fact that my grandfather had a big cane next to him, and it was actually a club. And I asked him, I was only a kid, I asked him about that. He said, "That's my baston." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Well, I used to have to fight my way past the picket lines to get to work in the paper mills." And so, you know, those are the kind of stories I like to use to embellish my classes.
Yeah, and where North Agawam is set is right across the river from
the paper mills fit right in with the book. I mean, that's part of the culture.
Yeah.
The paper mills, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really grew up in the time where they were operating.
Yes, they were.
They're not operating right now.
Yes.
Which is kind of sad. So when did you come up with the idea to do the Opera on King Street?
Well, it was funny. I was about 74, 75 years old. I'm giving away my age, but I went to, you know the old saying, you see your old buddies and friends at weddings and funerals? Mm-hmm. Well, I went to a funeral for an old neighborhood buddy of mine by the name of Ray Nardi. His mom died, and she was just a sweetheart. And I was at the wake when I started to congregate with some old buddies from North Agawam. They all, a couple of brothers showed up, and we started talking. And the thing was, the theme that came out of our conversation was, how much has North Agawam changed? It's like a 90% change from when we lived there as kids. And so we started reminiscing about this and that and this and that. And I said, I got in a car coming home. I says, there's nothing written about this. This isn't going to last. Well, we're gone. It's gone. Mm-hmm. So I decided I'm going to do what I can. So I use the autobiographical perspective, but that was mainly to I use that as a frame to try to instill and explain the culture and the intermingling of the Italian with the, quote, American culture. Mm-hmm. And that was my vehicle. Yeah. And because my family certainly lived the whole thing. Yeah. And I did too as a kid.
And I mean, of course, I've read the book, and it's just neat to see the interaction of the Italian families in that area. And it doesn't even matter that it's the King Street neighborhood. It's really a lot of neighborhoods nowadays that have changed because, back then, I mean, even when I was a kid, you had this open door policy. You could just walk into anybody's kitchen and, you're smelling their mother cooking. And, it's it was very welcome and opening, and every house became a family to even other families. And nowadays, everyone just kind of sticks to their hub. And it's very sad. And I pray every day that, the world will open up a little bit more. Yeah. But you have a great way of embracing the reader's senses in this when you're talking about not only the smells of the food, but I'm going to use the word loudness of the opera. Yes. Because Italians can be loud. Yes. I mean,
that's why I use the title of the opera on King Street, because first of all, I do like opera. My mother sang opera in the Springfield Opera Company, and it was always around my when I was growing up. And so I use it because opera has so many different aspects. There's drama. Yeah. There's sex. There's love. There's comedy. And I said, this is what King Street was like. It was like, when I was a kid, it was like an opera. Something's going on all the time.
And you write a lot of it, from the kid's point of view. Yes. Even though it's a memory.
Yes. Yeah.
But you bring all of that. I mean, there's, definitely the drama and a little comedy in there, a little sex in there. Yeah, it's got it all. It's like real life.
Yeah, that's what I tried. Anyway, that's what inspired me. And it just, actually, I found the writing not that hard. It was the editing and the getting it together. And that was the hard part for me.
Yeah,
I did a lot of writing when I was in college and when I was in teaching. So writing really wasn't a chore for me. Mm-hmm. And it still really isn't if I have a good topic.
Did you map out how you were going to do it? Did you have an outline to say these are the topics I want to do? Or did you just sit and say I'm writing it?
Up here.
Yeah.
That's all I did, yeah.
And I find a lot of writers, I mean, especially with, an autobiography, but, just anybody who's writing, if you have that passion for the story, you sit down to the page and it just flows.
Yeah. In fact, I found that the approach I didn't try to really get in chronological.
Yeah.
Yes. I just picked an incident and I boom, out it came. And then another one, boom, out it came, and then I started having to put them together.
Yeah,
put them together.
Which then does get into, okay, writers, are you writing? So everyone's like, how do you write a book? Well, you sit down and you write. Yes. But how do you get a book out into the public and published? Yeah. Then you're taking all these stories and, editing isn't just spell correcting and making sure your punctuation, I mean, that's part of it, but it is about rearranging the stories and how the order you're going to tell it in the book.
Right. Yeah.
And you did all that editing yourself.
Yeah, that was And
then the proofreading part,
well,
you have a good assistant, and he's
I
pointing
have an
to off
excellent
camera.
assistant to my beautiful bride over there. She was my assistant and everything.
And you know, again, people will say to me, "How do you find an editor? How do you find someone to proofread your book?" And I say, find someone that you trust.
Yeah.
Find someone who knows your voice, because
Yeah.
a lot of times people will seek out, you know, an editor that they don't know anything about, and you need to know your editor because you want to make sure that they keep your voice authentic, which obviously your beautiful bride would make sure that that happens.
I had the technological aspects of it proofread by a friend of mine I taught with at Chicopee Comprehensive, John Kozakowski. He's a PhD in English, so he knows what he's doing. And basically I said to John, anything that's incorrect, of course I want to change it, but I want my mood in it. I want me in the book.
Now, you did dabbled in some playwriting.
Yes.
Why not make this a play? Why do a novel?
First of all, it's too hard to put together as a play.
Too many
Could
characters?
you imagine the sets that would have to be
Yeah,
made?
it's definitely a little more movie-ish.
What I did is I took a couple of things and I wrote them, a couple of scenes from the book, and I wrote them in dialogue, in play form.
Yep.
And I haven't done anything with them because, well, first of all, they're a little controversial, and I think I sent it into the... No, I didn't. I didn't send it in, but I'm kind of reluctant on that, holding it back. It's I just did it for fun. Did you read it? The one about my father fighting with the twins?
Yes, with the twins. And the thing is, like, a lot of times, like, especially on a stage, a good setting is to have the story told, like, in a kitchen or in a bar, because even though you're talking about something that happened outside the bar, when someone comes back and reports, "Hey, did you hear what happened in the parking lot last night?" And then it gets animated with that, and you definitely do a good job doing that for sure.
Yeah.
Now, where did you publish the book through?
Digipod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did they do the formatting for you, or did you have to do your own formatting and get your own?
They did the front cover, back cover, and the chapters, but I just sent them in from off the computer and.
Yeah, and a lot of people are doing that nowadays. Yeah. Now, you did talk about you were a teacher. You've done a lot of writing. You enjoy writing. How did you get involved in writing for newspapers?
Well, let's see. A couple of people said, well, you should. The Agawam News did a review of my book, and they did kind of a review of me. So I said, well, that'd be a good source. But for some reason, the Agawam News wasn't that responsive to what I asked. But the West Springfield, Tom Colburn, he was,
Tom Colburn.
Sure. We'll publish it. It might take him a couple of weeks. Yep. Because his paper has the honor rolls.
Yes. Well, they have stuff they have to get out that's in timely manner. Yeah. Your pieces, because they're kind of reflective of the past, kind of can get put anywhere. And we've actually had their reporter Abby Taylor on the show earlier, and so we've talked about his newspaper and how she reports on current events. Yeah. But you're sharing things that have happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it's such a the way you write them, it's very interesting for someone like me who didn't live in that time to learn that history. And because of the way North Agawam is set, it's right on the line of West Springfield. Right. And
the Italian community extends into West Springfield. There's the tracks, the railroad tracks of the river are the border, but the whole West Springfield, the Merrick, actually that's where the first bakery was established by my grand uncle. And it was in the Merrick section of West Springfield.
Oh, interesting.
And when my grandfather came over, they were working together. They said, "Well, we don't really have enough business for to raise two families with." So my grandfather came over here to Agawam on King Street, and it was a barn. And he installed one of those old-fashioned brick ovens, and that's where his business. And they divided it at the railroad tracks.
Okay.
One side of the railroad tracks was Agawam. My grandfather, the other side of the railroad tracks was
But the bakery in West Springfield no longer is there.
Right. Because what happened was they took the land, the city or the state took the land that the bakery was on to make the the exit and the entry ramp onto Riverdale Road, onto
Route 5.
Route 5, yeah. So they took they bought, of course, they bought him out.
Like an eminent domain, whatever that is that they can
bought him
take
out.
it.
They gave him a decent price back then, and he came to work for my grandfather.
Nice.
Until, he passed or retired and passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and North Agawam, as much as it's changed over the years, it's still like a little niche community.
Yeah.
And the Balboni Bakery is still in that niche of that old-fashioned Italian, like, in a barn kind of behind a house to get to, which is really neat. So I have the honor that you've even written reviews for some of the plays that I've produced or worked on, which is great. Thank you.
Yeah. I've written. I only did one play review of The Majestic so far this year. The year before this, I wrote. I reviewed every play for the West Springfield Record.
Yeah.
And then I send in my period piece every now and then when, like the last one I sent was what it was like going first day of school back our time versus first day of school now.
Oh gosh,
we used to get pencil boxes and coloring books. The kids today get laptops.
Yeah.
So it's quite a difference.
Your parents were like stressing about the pencil box they were going to buy, and now it's like, oh gosh, you want an Apple or a Mac or.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, times really, really have changed. So, what's your favorite part about writing? Do you love the deadlines?
No. My favorite part is when I come up with an idea.
When it's done.
No. Actually, I come up with an idea to write about, and I write the whole thing in my head first.
Yeah.
And getting it from there to the computer and paper is the enjoyable part.
Okay.
Getting it out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I can sit down. You can ask my wife. I can sit down and for 2-3 hours straight and write, and do nothing but a cup of coffee. But I want to get that.
Now, do you handwrite?
No.
So you're typing into the computer. Yeah. So you're very savvy in this 21st century.
Oh yeah. Well, my wife's the one that's savvy. She taught business subjects, and she went from hand manual computers to electric computers to electric processors to. So she came up with the technology for her teaching career.
Wow, I think you should write a book about her.
I don't know. She demand royalties,
Well, that's okay. I think she's deserved them for sure.
Yeah.
So, doing the opera on King Street, I mean, we talked about how it came about because it's your life.
Yeah.
And, why did you want to share this so much with the community and not just keep it as like, a family story?
Well, because it was about a community. That's the basic reason. It was about a community the real heart of what I'm writing about is the Italian culture and its integration and its reactions to and how the cultures blended together and how the Italian culture was changed over the years. I was born at the right time so I could see the whole thing.
Yeah.
I saw it from back when we were just a small bakery to what we went ahead to do. Yeah.
What are a couple? I'm gonna say what are the 3 best things about growing up in that era?
Well, I think the honesty of everybody. No problems with that. Everybody was nice and friendly, and for entertainment, my parents would sit on our front porch and watch the opera on King Street. That's what they did. They would sit there. My father would sit there eating his ice cream because he worked in front of an oven all day, so his dessert was a half a cantaloupe filled with ice cream.
Ooh, that
and
sounds
he'd sit
delicious.
on his porch and eat that and watch the opera take place.
Yeah. No, and it's true. And nowadays we all just watch the opera take place on social media.
Yeah.
Which
they don't even have porches anymore. I mean,
I have a porch,
okay.
so I am very. I have always said I need a house with a porch.
Yeah,
I have to have a porch to be able to watch all of that stuff and what goes on. What's the biggest differences that you see from back then when you watched the opera on King Street on your front porch, which you're still living in that area, to what you see now outside your front door?
Oh, you mean on King Street?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't live in King. I live in West Springfield now.
Oh, I was thinking you still lived in that
section,
neighborhood.
Biggest difference was the community. It was after dinner, people were outside interacting, especially in the good weather. They were talking, joking, playing. They were next door Italian clubs playing bocce. They were at one of the many restaurants / bars. There was Tinty's, there was Silver Star, there was Betty's in the Patch, there was Stella's, and even for high class, the Federal Hill Club.
Yeah.
And that the Federal Hill Club is like on the outer bounds of North Agawam. But North Agawam restaurants were they were famous. People who would come to Starleton, actresses and actors that come to Starleton or other places, famous sports figures, they go to Betty's in the Patch for dinner. They wouldn't go to any, that's where they went because they got the best food there.
And now that we've talked about Betty's in the Patch, that was actually a very well-known restaurant in this area.
Yeah.
It's not here anymore, but Danny Eaton from the Majestic Theater actually wrote a play about it, which you did a review for.
Right. He kind of, consulted me on the play about certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be interesting to do a review on a play on a place that you not only knew about but frequented, and then trying to, and I know he turned it a little bit into a fictional story.
Yeah.
But it still gives the history, of that restaurant and things like that. And, being able to keep things authentic in any kind of story takes research. And you wrote this, how many years ago? Well, how many? You said you were on 78.5, so you're talking about when you were, a child. Did you have to do research for this book?
Well, the only research I really
besides
did
what's
was
in your head.
interviewing people. I was back at those days. I had 2 elderly aunts and an elderly uncle who were just fountains of information, and they gave me a lot. And then of course there were my friends that I was still in touch with that I talked with, and
collaborate your stories, make sure that you remembered it as well as they remember it.
Yeah.
Because 2 people or 5 people can all have the same experience but have 5 different stories.
Yeah, right.
Especially when you're on an
I
opera.
picked the best one.
And you did, and it's loud and it's entertaining, and to try to get all of that into one book is a lot for any author to do, especially when some people think autobiography has to be in chronological order, and like you said, you didn't do chronological order.
No, that's why I would never be able. I don't think I would ever be able to put it into a play form. Although I love writing, script writing, but I just couldn't do it. That's too diverse.
You don't think you'll just keep doing little scenes here and there, because it would make a good movie.
Yeah.
I can see the cameras coming in and zooming in.
Yeah.
And
Did I send you my script on that I wrote about the Ware twins? I don't want to say.
Yes. I did do the twins. Yeah, that was good, and it's. I just think I find you're very entertaining, and when you're doing it, but it's educational because it's about that time frame still. Yeah. So what's next for you? Are you gonna?
Well, right now I'm still writing articles for the paper. I don't have any big projects in mind, but my sons keep telling me, Dad, you gotta. See, because I got tons of stuff written that's never been published. It's somewhere in the computer, Dad, you got to put this all together and have like a book of different stories.
Yeah. Short anthology of collection.
Yeah, but that would be tough to do. I think I'll let my children take care of that. That would be kind of the
let me leave you this messy
the
messy pile.
You put it together.
Well, and it is, I have so many. I have my file of story starts for things. Then I have stories I've written in my computer. And yesterday I was searching for this story, and I thought for sure I remembered the title of it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I had changed it to The Blessing Hour.
Yeah.
And finally I found it, and I was so grateful. And then I opened up, and it's like almost 100 pages long. And I'm like, to have something written like that from 2017.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, it's time. I'm feeling like how you're leaving your kids, but like I don't want to leave all this unfinished work. So now going through to say, what is worthy of putting out there, and what is just what was maybe practice for me to do at my own time, and
Well, I just have to take a second to give a special thanks to my editor, Susan Fixler. She actually lives in Texas, and her daughter and my son are husband and wife.
Oh,
and And she's a retired English teacher.
Nice.
And so I send her to a lot of my scripts, and she writes in the comments and what I did wrong, and just say, because she's
not what you did wrong, what needs to be corrected.
Yes, and sometimes some of her corrections, she gives me explanations that, oh, really? Okay, well, what did you say I should do when I write it in?
Well, and that is the thing with editors. That's why you need to trust them, because you don't want like I said, you don't want your voice to change, but you do want the story to be authentic. And a lot of times with editors, I found where they say, I need more, you need to explain this a little bit more. Yeah. Because when we write, we think, oh, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and it's like, oh, no, describe that bakery more, or describe what the front porch looked like, or something,
so
for the audience.
I can't forget to include her. She's so great. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, does she do editing professionally for people? Like,
I don't think.
Should we add her
formally.
link in?
Huh?
Should we add her link in, and people can reach out to her? Looking for another editor.
Well, if this could be somehow broadcast in Texas, that'd be great for
Well,
her.
You know what? Let's reach out to her, and we're gonna make that happen.
Oh, okay.
Let's do that. I can figure a way to make that happen. Plus, it'll be on YouTube, so you can definitely share it on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Spotify.
I don't know if she want that. I just because her husband is a retired pediatric cardiologist.
Oh wow!
Brilliant,
awesome.
Wonderful man, and they're retired. I don't want them to have their disturbed about it. So they could see this.
Okay, we can do that. So where can the audience get your book? How do they reach out to you?
For me.
Okay.
I've got, I had to get another printing. That's my fourth printing.
Wow.
And I still have plenty left. And if they write to me at, should I give my address?
Give your address or your email, whatever you want.
Marty Balboni at 25 King Street.
No, not 25 King Street anymore. Not 25 King Street.
Well, here's a connection. I'm 25 Ohio Avenue.
Okay.
I got the 25.
We went from King to Ohio.
Yeah, and at West Springfield, Mass. 11089. And if they, just write to, tell me they're interested in the book, and it's $20. If I have to mail it, it's $23. $23.
Okay, $23 autograph copy.
Autograph copy.
And I love it because this is the old-fashioned way that writers work. You just write a letter, write a fan letter.
Yeah, someday it'll be worth a lot of money.
It will. I'm going to put the address right in the link so that people will have that, which will be great.
Great.
We'll make sure we do the 25 Ohio Avenue.
But
you can read about King
Street. A little bit?
Sure.
The cover is the old house that in Italy. That when we went to Italy, we actually went in this house. This is where my grandparents were from.
Oh.
And a friend of mine, Phil Araldi, he's an artist, and I had a couple of pictures. One was this house with an old junk car in front of it, and another was, there was bushes and stuff. So I said, Phil, can you paint this for me without the car? Well, and he did. See, he did a couple of other illustrations in here.
Very
nice. That's where that is from. Of course, on the back, my mom and me, a cute kid, But I just would like to say, there's one other thing, with every chapter, I try to pair it with a song, a music.
Oh, I forgot. I wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
And for instance, on the prologue for the book, it's the overture from La Forza Destino by Verdi. And then
what I wanted to ask you is, when you were writing that chapter, were you listening to it?
Not really. Okay. No.
Because some authors have like the playlist that they'll put out. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I definitely wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. Another one I wrote about when my grandfather was coming to Italy, seeing the Statue of Liberty, and he must have been thinking of missing Sorrento. Torno al Sorrento, I put that song in, and then a couple of modern songs I put in too. Because
I did wonder
actually that took me a lot of time, because I had a chapter written, and I said, what can I use to illustrate? Because it's an opera.
Right.
What music can I use to illustrate it? And that took me a little time.
Yeah, so you wrote the chapter, and then you had to kind of think about what song might go with it.
Plugged it in, yes.
So, yeah, no, I really love that, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did have that in my notes here, and I forgot, because I was like, oh, in the opera part of it, there's this beautiful music. So, my big question, like I asked, was if you listened to that at the time that you were writing it, but you researched it to go with the writing. So, yeah, that's really good. And you gave credit to all the author, all the songwriters and things like that, which, is very cool, because someone who wants to read that chapter might just go to their phone now and type it in, and they could listen to the music while they read that chapter.
I'm hoping that a lot of people will.
Yeah.
Because I love in fact, I wrote, it's not published yet, but I wrote a piece for the West Springfield Record on how I use music in my history classes. And when it comes out, you'll get a copy.
All right. I'm excited about that. I can't wait. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's great. Thank you.
This is Marty Balboni, and I'm going to put all the links below. And I think everything that you've said today has helped writers who are learning, to get their story out. And it's a great book to read, so I hope that you're going to get a lot of letters in the mail over in West Springfield for requests.
Just send the money and you get the book. Case closed.
Case closed. I like that. All right. Well, very quickly, this is the point of the show where I give my writers a writing prompt. So I'm going to give you your writing prompt to do when the show ends. And today I want you to visualize in your head one of the houses, in case you had many, a house that you grew up in. And I want you to be an outsider and talk about what you see, what you observe. It might be you're talking about, what you're actually seeing for what the description of the house is, but maybe something that you're hearing that's going on in that house. And it's, a little bit of a writing exercise in being an observer and to write what you see. So close your eyes, think about that childhood home, and just write for 10, 15 minutes on that.
Once you get started,
you may keep writing for 3 hours with only 1 cup of coffee, like Marty Balboni. So again, thank you for tuning in to Why Write. Thank you to Studio 954. And I look forward to seeing you next episode. And don't forget to send Marty a nice little fan mail. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.